fade to black. It smiled exactly when he did. And this time, real, imperfect, human. His reflection stood there quietly. He looked back toward the mirror one last time, for reasons he couldn't explain, then paused near the apartment door. Ethan picked up his coat, only understood, not erased, not trapped. Something ancient slept peacefully, deep beneath reality itself, and somewhere very far away, sunlight touched the streets. Clouds opened gently above the city. Outside, the rain finally began stopping, humanly, slowly. Courage was facing one painful truth at a time, but courage was not becoming perfectly honest overnight. People lied because they were afraid, because now he understood. He didn't judge them, and for the first time, human things, each carrying secrets, fears, regrets, tiny private lies, watching people move through the streets below. Ethan stood alone beside the rain-covered window for a long time afterward. The call ended, and the sound felt more real than every false reality combined. The little girl laughed happily. "Yeah," he whispered, "I'm coming." A real smile. Ethan smiled faintly. Second chances. Small truths. A life rebuilt carefully instead of escaped from. Only feelings, not complete memories. Somewhere in the distance, memory shifted gently inside him. A daughter. Emotion hit him so suddenly it almost hurt. Ethan closed his eyes. Silence. "Dad, are you still coming today?" A little girl's voice spoke softly on the other end, and then Ethan's heartbeat slowed. Static crackled briefly. "Hello," he answered. Then slowly, old fear crawled softly up his spine. 3 times. Twice. Once. The phone continued buzzing. Silence filled the apartment. Ethan froze. Unknown number. His phone vibrated on the kitchen table. Outside, the city breathed softly beneath morning rain. Nothing happened. Ethan touched the mirror carefully, but peaceful, tired, older somehow. Just him. No smile, no delay. His reflection stared back immediately. Then he looked. He hesitated. For one brief second, Ethan stood and walked toward the bathroom mirror, gone before he could hold on to it. Rain. A hallway. A woman smiling sadly. A memory flickered somewhere deep inside him. Thin, pale, real. And then he noticed the scar across his hand. His body trembled faintly. Ethan sat up slowly. Normal life. Small kitchen. Books stacked near the couch. A coffee mug beside scattered paperwork. The apartment was unfamiliar, like he had survived a dream too large for the human mind to fully remember. Just wait. Not horror, not fear. Something felt strange. For a few seconds, he simply stared at the ceiling without moving. Warm, real. Sunlight touched his face. Ethan inhaled sharply. A man slowly opened his eyes inside a narrow bed beside the window. Human. Simple. The world continued. Rainwater slid down the windows of a small apartment overlooking an ordinary city street. Cars moved below. People hurried to work. Somewhere nearby, a child laughed. Morning arrived quietly. Gentle, real, human was rain, and the last thing he heard before disappearing into silence. Ethan closed his eyes as the final reality dissolved around him. But it was a beginning. Maybe not. Maybe enough. Human changes. Tiny changes. More willing to face painful truths instead of burying them. Kinder, but softer. Not fully awake. Not fully honest. People began waking up feeling slightly different. And somewhere across humanity, the creature above finally stopped screaming. The ancient entity below closed its impossible eye. The light around them grew brighter, only the part that matters. Lena smiled softly. "Will I remember any of this?" Ethan looked at her one final time. You can rest now, her form already beginning to disappear. Lena stepped closer, the world becoming distant. Then Ethan felt warmth spreading through his body. For the first time in eternity, the universe exhaled. Office walls becoming dust. Hallways fading into stars. Screaming employees finally becoming silent. The department around them dissolved slowly into light. No, we did. Ethan shook his head weakly. You changed it. Lena stared at Ethan with tears streaming down her face. Like dreams ending at sunrise, they began fading peacefully. Instead, the false realities around them stopped collapsing completely. Millions of human faces weeping quietly together. Its screaming faded into soft crying. The giant creature of denial above also slowed, balanced, not awake, not asleep. The ancient entity became still. The abyss beneath reality stopped growing. Something impossible happened. Then, deep silence. Silence. We just need the courage to look at reality little by little. Ethan whispered, understanding, listening. The ancient entity pulsed softly. We don't need endless lies, and we don't need unbearable truth. Ethan's voice broke. Millions of false realities collapsing together. Cracks spread through its endless body. The giant creature above screamed violently. We lie because existence hurts. We deny because reality overwhelms us. But pain doesn't disappear just because we hide from it. Ethan continued. The universe shook. We are afraid about humanity, not about himself, and spoke the hardest truth possible. Ethan took one final breath. The ancient entity waited silently, something humanity should have done a long time ago, then quietly answered. Ethan looked down into the infinite darkness beneath reality. What are you doing? Fear filled her eyes. Lena grabbed his hand. Number. The creature above shrieked in panic. Ethan stepped toward the abyss. Slowly, they still kept searching for truth. Because even inside illusion, but also beautiful, humans were weak. Children lying because they're scared. Parents lying because they love too much. Lonely souls lying because reality feels unbearable. Small, fragile people. People, not governments, not civilizations, not history. And thought about humanity. Ethan closed his eyes. Choose, choose, choose. The awakened faces above screamed louder. Reality continued collapsing around them. The answer somehow hurt even more. No. But she shaped me. Her expression trembled. So you were never really Lena. Tears filled Ethan's eyes instantly. I'm what remains when someone accepts the truth. Sad. Fragile. Tired. She smiled like a real human being. For the first time, what are you really? Ethan looked toward Lena carefully. The realization changed something inside him. Like pain itself, just acknowledged. Not worshipped. Not feared. Not hidden from. To be seen honestly. Recognition. Not destruction. And Ethan finally understood what it truly wanted. The ancient entity beneath reality pulsed again. Both extremes became monsters eventually, but neither could it survive absolute truth. Humanity could not survive endless denial, because now he understood. Ethan nodded slowly. There's no perfect answer, Lena whispered softly. A universe that simply existed without caring whether humans could emotionally survive it. A reality without comforting stories. Infinite. Cold. Because truth was lonely. And he pitied that too. Into the abyss of pure awareness. Then Ethan looked downward. It was humanity's oldest coping mechanism given life. The creature wasn't evil. Parents lying to children to protect them. People pretending tomorrow would be better. Broken hearts saying, I'm okay. human beings creating tiny illusions just to survive another day. Because the creature was born from pain, he pitied it, and suddenly, a god made from fear, at the creature humanity had unconsciously built over thousands of years. Ethan looked upward first, watching, silent, patient. Beneath them, the ancient entity pulsed slowly within the abyss. Don't abandon us, we kept them safe. We made life bearable. Above them, the giant creature made of human denial twisted violently across the sky of broken realities. Millions of faces cried, begged, screamed. You have to decide now. Lena held his arm tightly. Someone understood both sides completely. And for the first time in human history, Ethan stood at the center of existence while countless worlds crumbled around him like burning paper. Waiting, even the universe itself seemed frozen between breaths. The collapsing department, the screaming creature of denial, the ancient entity beneath reality. Everything waited for Ethan, or deserved the dream, watching Ethan decide whether mankind deserved the truth. Patient, infinite, the ancient entity beneath reality waited silently. But they had also imprisoned it, because lies had protected humanity. Neither option was completely wrong. Neither option was completely right. And Ethan realized something terrifying, or unbearable awakening, comfortable illusion. Humanity stood between two futures, because for the first time in history, above them the giant creature of denial screamed louder than ever before. What humanity becomes next? Her voice broke. Choose what? It's asking you to choose. Lena stared at Ethan desperately, waiting. The entity pulsed softly, but awake, not pure, not perfect. People capable of truth without becoming destroyed by it. A humanity that still knew fear, still felt pain, but no longer worshipped denial. A different future, another vision appeared. But then, no, Ethan's breathing shattered. Many humans lost the ability to endure reality. Because without illusion, mass suicides, endless despair, civilizations freezing into silence, people collapsing psychologically beneath unbearable honesty. A world where humanity stopped lying completely. The future. Then the entity showed him something worse, because even beauty had roots in fear. The realization broke him emotionally. All of it created partly to protect the human mind from total awareness. Cities, wars, religions, art, love, hope. Ethan suddenly saw humanity's entire history at once, with revelation, not with words. Then the entity spoke directly into every layer of existence simultaneously. The heartbeat synchronized with Ethan's own. The void pulsed again. We built civilizations just to avoid looking down there, Lena whispered through tears. Had been an attempt to hide from it. And every lie humans ever told. The raw, unbearable recognition of existence. Pure consciousness stripped of comforting illusion. It was awareness itself. Not alive in any human sense. Not good. The entity beneath reality was not evil. Humanity feared what existed beyond them. Humanity never feared lies, because now he understood the final truth. Tears streamed uncontrollably from his eyes. Ethan collapsed to his knees. Stop seeing. Stop knowing. Stop waking up. The awakened faces above the department shrieked desperately. Billions of false lives vanished in seconds. Worlds built from denial disintegrated like dust. Entire realities collapsed instantly around Ethan. The universe screamed. The ancient entity moved again. Lies were psychological skin protecting consciousness from something infinitely deeper. The department existed because human minds could not survive complete self-awareness, and that was the real horror. It perceived beings exactly as they truly were. No illusion, no denial, There was no lying before this thing. Seen instantly, every hidden thought, every fear, every contradiction, existentially, not physically. Ethan felt completely exposed, and suddenly, the ancient thing beneath reality had already seen him. Too late. Don't look directly at it. Lena grabbed his face hard. His mind immediately began bleeding around the edges. Shapes that human perception physically could not process. Movement inside darkness deeper than mathematics. An eye bigger than galaxies. Ethan saw only fragments at first, and something looked back through it, like existence itself had developed a wound. Conceptually, not physically, the void below opened, because then nobody answered. The truth makes what visible. Ethan felt ice spread through his veins. Truth opens the door. Truth lets it see you. Truth makes you visible. The awakened mouths above continued screaming. There was something unbearable waiting, because beneath reality, humanity evolved them to survive awareness itself. Human consciousness had not created lies accidentally. Ethan suddenly understood something horrifying, older than thought, immense, slow. The heartbeat below reality grew louder. When humans first learned to deny reality, something noticed. Lena pointed downward into the endless void beneath the collapsing floors. I don't understand. Ethan stared at her. Cracks spread through existence itself. The department shook violently. The thing humanity became aware of before language existed. The words barely escaped her mouth. The first consciousness, just afraid. Not mysterious, not powerful. Lena looked broken now. What is it? His body trembled uncontrollably. Ethan slowly stood. Keep lying, don't let it out. Please. The giant creature of human denial twisted violently across the ceiling of reality. Millions of mouths cried simultaneously, because they understood too. The awakened faces began screaming in terror. Then somewhere above them, absolute silence. Silence. The lies weren't feeding it, they were containing it. Ethan's breathing became uneven. No. Fear spread slowly across her face. Lena froze. It's not sleeping because of lies. He grabbed her wrist violently. Ethan. Lena knelt beside him desperately. Rooms floated upside down. Hallways stretched infinitely. Employees fell upward into darkness. Gravity no longer existed correctly. He slammed onto the cold floor of the collapsing department, while blood poured from his nose. Around him, office corridors twisted into impossible shapes. Then Ethan woke up screaming, as though truth itself was rewriting the structure of reality. Everything flickered. His childhood, Lena, the prison, the department, the creature made of lies. Ethan felt reality split apart around his mind like cracking glass. Every memory he had ever possessed suddenly became unstable. The voice shattered existence itself. Sự thật chính là thứ giải phóng ta. Truth is what frees me. And a voice older than existence whispered directly into Ethan's soul. The plane shattered into darkness. The first humans dissolved into ash. Reality ruptured instantly. The eye in the sky blinked once. That lock was breaking. And now, every lie humanity ever told was part of the lock keeping something asleep, built across human consciousness itself. A seal, not a machine, not a prison. He understood what the system truly was. And suddenly, the giant eye focused completely on Ethan now. But the ancient presence below reality had already noticed him. Ethan, wake up. Ethan heard Lena screaming from very far away. Something even older. Something enormous moved behind the eye. Grass turning black. Stars bleeding. The sky cracking open further. The world around them started collapsing violently. "You shouldn't be here," the man whispered. The first humans backed away from Ethan in terror. It was built on them. Human history wasn't corrupted by lies. Wars created from denial. Religions born from fear. Entire civilizations built on comforting illusions. Inside it, Ethan saw impossible things. The eye above the sky widened slowly, and something ancient had fed on that instinct ever since. Humanity invented them the moment reality became painful. They were defense mechanisms. Lies were not accidents. Ethan realized the horrifying truth. The ancient heartbeat echoed louder now. Growing, learning, watching, a gigantic eye emerged from the darkness beyond the stars. The sky began splitting open. Behind them, we only wanted the fear to stop. The woman nodded while tears filled her eyes. It hurt less this way. The man spoke softly, not fully human anymore. Their faces blurred unnaturally, then slowly turned toward Ethan together. The two humans near the fire suddenly froze. Oh God. Ethan staggered backward. The darkness beneath reality opened its eyes. Something new was born, and from that uncertainty, the truth became uncertain. Conceptually, not physically. The dead animal vanished instantly. The moment consciousness discovered escape. Terrified. Human. Tiny. The first lie. And Ethan felt the universe itself react. The fire changed color for one impossible second. The stars above flickered violently. Reality shook. "We didn't do it," the man slowly said. The smallest moment imaginable. Then came the moment. The man stared at the dead animal trembling in her hands. "What if they exile us?" The woman whispered. Memory older than civilization itself. This was symbolism. This was not history. Ethan somehow understood immediately. Because of consequence, not because of death. The man looked frightened. Small, bloody, freshly killed. A dead animal. The woman cried softly near the fire while clutching something in her hands, like thoughts rearranging themselves. The stars overhead shifted unnaturally. The stranger reality became. The closer he moved, Ethan approached slowly, alive, terrified, primitive, a woman, a man. Two human figures stood beside a fire, and in the distance, wind moved softly across endless grass. Only silence. No buildings, no cities, no technology. He stood inside a vast, empty plain beneath a black sky filled with unfamiliar stars. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Light appeared. Then, ancient darkness. Warm darkness. Only darkness remained. The false realities disappeared. The office corridors vanished. The screaming worlds above faded away, like sinking into memory. Almost gentle, not violent, not chaotic, but this fall felt different. Lena screamed his name as he fell. Darkness swallowed him instantly. Then the floor beneath Ethan cracked open completely. The entire department shook violently. Silence. The first lie. Lena looked at him with grief in her eyes. See what? Ethan felt cold terror spreading through his body. Keep it asleep. Don't let him see. He's not ready. The awakened mouths began shouting over one another. No, 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 no. Millions of faces twisting in panic. The giant creature above them screamed again. The word felt wrong the moment she said it. The origin. Lena's voice trembled. What is down there? Ethan stared downward, as if existence itself remembered something it was never supposed to recall. From meaning, not from force. Reality bent inward around it. The darkness beneath the collapsing floors began moving like a living ocean. That's impossible. Lena stepped backward toward Ethan instinctively. They looked afraid. For the first time, the awakened faces above the department suddenly stopped laughing. Each pulse shook billions of worlds simultaneously. Immense, ancient, slow. The second heartbeat echoed upward from beneath reality. It began waking up too, and slowly. Ancient beyond comprehension, something enormous, something moved beneath reality itself. The thing the system was originally built to keep trapped. Ethan saw genuine terror in her eyes, and for the first time, she looked toward the endless darkness below the department. What is it? No. Lena went pale instantly, older, slower, from somewhere deeper, not from the creature. Another heartbeat. Then Ethan heard it. The entire department shook violently. The awakened mouths screamed joyfully. They want humanity asleep forever. Lena's eyes trembled. What? But now parts of it want something else. She pointed upward toward the awakening faces. The creature was originally built to contain lies, to prevent humanity from collapsing under truth. Fragments of countless worlds drifting beyond the fractures. Reality cracked behind her. Listen to me carefully. Lena grabbed Ethan's shoulders tightly. A deep, terrible sound. The awakened faces above began laughing. It turns pain into permission. Her voice broke. Silence. That's how it feeds. Tears streamed down her face. Ethan stared at her in shock. The sound echoed sharply through the collapsing corridor. Lena suddenly slapped him hard across the face. What if truth destroyed more than it saved? What if lies were necessary? What if humanity truly couldn't survive complete honesty? But the idea kept crawling through his mind. No, no. Ethan stumbled backward, shaking violently. Yes, they whispered. You understand now. Thousands of awakened eyes focused directly on him. The creature sensed it immediately. 1 weak human second. Just for 1 second. Part of him agreed. And Ethan felt something horrifying happen inside himself. The words spread through the air like disease. Why suffer reality? Why accept pain? Why feel guilt? The awakened mouths kept speaking. Employees screaming while being pulled upward into the giant flesh mass above. Entire corridors falling into black voids. The department collapsed faster now. They're evolving. Lena grabbed his arm desperately. No? Ethan's blood froze. You showed them escape is possible, and smiled. The awakened faces turned toward Ethan together. A reality where people never needed responsibility again. A reality where lies became permanent. They wanted domination, and some parts no longer wanted truth hidden. It was billions. The creature wasn't one mind. Then Ethan realized the horrifying truth. Like ideology, like infection, the awakened mouths continued spreading. The creature screamed louder as if fighting itself internally. We are tired of guilt, tired of shame, tired of consequences. More mouths smiled unnaturally. More eyes opened. We are tired of hiding. The awakened faces began speaking separately from the rest of the creature. No. Lena stepped backward in horror. Hungry, empty, cold. And those faces looked different. Fully awake. Their eyes slowly opened. Some had stopped dreaming. Among the millions of human faces, then Ethan saw them. Something growing. Something was happening inside it. Its gigantic body convulsed violently while cracks spread through its endless flesh. In pain, not in anger. The creature above them began screaming suddenly. There's something worse. Lena's expression darkened. Oh God, Ethan whispered. The scale was impossible. Entire universes born from sentences people wished were true. Some beautiful, some horrifying, some peaceful, some monstrous. Every world built from human lies. Ethan saw billions of worlds floating together like shattered glass. Inside it, a massive void opened below. The hallway suddenly split apart beneath them to contain contradiction, to organize false realities, to stop total collapse. She nodded. The department. That's why the system exists. Lena looked toward Ethan carefully. Tiny lies, tiny denials, tiny mercies against unbearable reality. human beings survived through selective blindness. The creature wasn't completely wrong, and the terrifying part was, the emotional pressure nearly crushed Ethan's mind. We made your pain survivable. We carried your guilt. We protected you from yourselves. Millions of whispering mouths overlapping together. The giant mass leaned closer. It was protecting humanity from itself. It wasn't protecting humanity from monsters, because it knew. The creature trembled violently above them. Wars beginning because denial no longer existed to soften reality. Families destroyed by truth. Civilizations collapsing beneath honesty. Every hidden betrayal exposed. Every buried guilt revealed. Every false love stripped naked. Every comforting illusion destroyed overnight. Ethan imagined it instantly. No. The words hit harder than any horror before it. Humanity loses the ability to lie. Then quietly said. She looked almost heartbroken. Lena didn't answer immediately. What happens if it wakes up? Ethan whispered weakly. Fear of seeing itself clearly. Fear of awareness. Not fear of death. Its countless eyes trembled with fear. The giant mass of human faces descended lower. Lena stood beside him silently while fragments of reality drifted through the air like burning paper. For everyone, not just for him, truth was unbearable. He understood the creature, because deep inside himself, Ethan couldn't breathe. Millions of mouths spoke together while the Department of False Realities collapsed around them. Entire office floors folded into darkness. Employees dissolved into static screams. Don't make us wake up. The creature's plea echoed through eternity. Please, don't make us wake up. The creature spoke with a single unified voice. And for the first time, millions of mouths opening together, the giant mass leaned closer, and it had been growing for centuries. A living ocean made from humanity's fear of truth. It was suffering. The creature was not evil. Now he understood. Oh God. Tears poured uncontrollably from his eyes. Ethan collapsed, screaming onto the floor. The emotional weight almost destroyed him instantly. Parents pretending not to hate each other. Children pretending not to be afraid. Governments lying about wars. Lovers lying about love. People lying to survive. People lying because truth hurt too much. He suddenly felt billions of human lies simultaneously. A psychic flood crashed into Ethan's mind. Through emotion, not through words. Then the creature spoke, and all of it focused directly on Ethan. Human shame, human guilt. Every eye carried human fear. Eyes opening everywhere. Crying, laughing, denying. Millions of human faces fused into one godlike mass. Its true size impossible to comprehend. The giant creature began descending through the ceiling, and above everything, screaming employees fell into endless darkness beneath opening floor cracks. Office desks slammed across walls. Gravity shifted violently. The corridor suddenly twisted sideways. The system was designed to process lies, not reject them. Lena nodded. That's important. Ethan stared at her. Because you were one of the first people who chose truth after creating so much damage. Then softly answered. She looked uncertain. For the first time since he met her. Lena hesitated. Why me? Ethan whispered. Why can I remember all this? The idea felt horrifyingly possible. Forever. Only escape. No truth, no responsibility, no consequences. A planet built entirely from denial. Billions of lies becoming one world. Ethan imagined it instantly. If the creature fully wakes up, every false reality humanity ever created will merge together. Lena looked directly into his eyes. No! The word hit him coldly. The source. Move where? We have to move now. Lena grabbed Ethan's arm tightly. Reality itself began folding inward. The lights turned red. Like disappearing felt easier than existing honestly. Ethan watched one employee slowly turn into black dust while smiling peacefully, accepting it, and some simply stood still. Some laughed hysterically. Some prayed. Some tried running. The faceless workers throughout the corridor began screaming. All employees prepare for absorption. Core entity descent detected. The voice sounded terrified, but this time. Then the intercom activated again. The entire department groaned like a dying animal. The creature above was descending. Darkness spread through the fracture like infected veins. The floor suddenly cracked beneath Ethan's feet. They chose comforting realities instead of painful truths. Lena's answer came quietly. They stayed too long. What happened to them? Ethan backed away horrified. Blood leaked from her eyes. He loved me. Beside him a woman cried while whispering. And again, and again. Again, I was a good father. An old man repeated, still whispering lies endlessly to themselves. Still alive. Human bodies fused into concrete and wires. People were trapped inside walls. Inside the office room, Ethan looked through a collapsing doorway and froze. Screams echoed through nearby rooms. The building shook harder. Every lie people refuse to face becomes weight. Enough weight eventually becomes structure. Enough structure becomes consciousness. Lena nodded sadly. You mean humanity created it? Ethan's breathing slowed. It was born slowly, century after century, one denial at a time. The hallway lights buzzed violently. It doesn't have a real name anymore. Lena looked pale. What is that thing? Ethan stared upward in horror. The ceiling above them trembled continuously as if the giant creature was crawling directly overhead. Ethan no longer knew. Or the thing wearing Lena's memory. Lena stood beside him, breathing heavily. The corridor around him looked unstable now. Walls flickered between existence and static. Doors melted into flesh before reforming again. He gasped for air. Pain exploded through his body, hard. Ethan slammed onto a cold office floor. The fall stopped instantly. A hand grabbed his wrist violently. Ethan. Lena's voice echoed somewhere nearby. The creature seemed afraid of him now, and yet Ethan felt impossibly small beneath it. Its breathing shook entire realities. Its eyes stretched across infinity. Humanity dreaming itself away from truth. The enormous creature of fused human faces continued watching silently above him. The lies merged together into one endless storm. I didn't do it. She deserved it. I had no choice. It wasn't my fault. Ethan fell through it, while thousands of human voices whispered around him simultaneously. Some begged, some laughed, some denied things even as they burned. The screaming darkness had no end. The office collapsed into screaming darkness. Then every mouth smiled, and every eye turned toward Ethan. The creature opened countless eyes simultaneously. Humanity itself, the true source, dreaming false worlds into existence. Millions of eyes shut tightly. Millions of mouths whispering lies. An endless mass of human faces fused together in darkness. Not hell, not heaven, not machinery. And Ethan finally saw what existed above the department of false realities. The ceiling split open. It heard you wake up, Lena whispered. The entire office shook. The ceiling above them bulged downward violently. Hungry, ancient, alive. Something enormous pulsing beyond the walls of reality itself. Not his own. A heartbeat. Then Ethan heard it. Horrifying silence. Deep silence. The thing keeping humanity from drowning inside its own denial. Then finally answered. She looked at Ethan carefully. What system? The system is failing." Lena looked upward sadly. The sound now resembled screaming. Phones continued ringing everywhere, even if they were born from lies. Real suffering, real fear, because false realities still contained real pain. The difference destroyed him. No, all of it was. Lena stepped closer. So none of this was real. Ethan stared at her in horror, office walls folding inward endlessly. The corridor around them collapsed violently. Every lie that humans refuse to confront creates fragments. Fragments become identities. Identities become worlds. She smiled sadly, or something wearing her memory. It was Lena, and it broke him instantly. But now Ethan could finally see her face clearly. Black uniform untouched by the chaos. Clipboard in hand, the woman from the department stood there again. He turned slowly. "You are unfinished confessions," a calm female voice answered from behind him. "What are we?" The newly awakened Ethan whispered, all staring silently. Thousands, hundreds of Ethans. Every faceless worker in the corridor began growing Ethan's face too, then slowly turned toward him. All the employees around him froze simultaneously. The realization shattered him. Ethan. He remembered his name, and then the pain was unbearable. He screamed, human features tearing through pale flesh. Mouth, eyes. A face suddenly began forming beneath his skin. No, no, no. The employee grabbed his own head violently. A childhood. A mother's voice. Rain against apartment windows. A mirror smiling too early. Memories flashed violently. Something human had started waking up, because somewhere deep inside himself, real fear. He felt fear for the first time. No! The faceless employee backed against the wall, trembling. All false realities subject to termination. Core identity awakening detected. Warning! The employee heard the intercom activate overhead. Complete collapse. Reality destabilization. Some melting into walls. Some splitting apart into multiple bodies. Some suddenly gaining human faces and screaming in horror after seeing themselves for the first time. Faceless workers running blindly through corridors. Employees emerged from office rooms in panic. The screaming started. And then, darkness flooded the hallway instantly. The lights exploded. I finally stopped lying to myself. Ethan whispered something terrifying. "What have you done?" The faceless employee stepped backward slowly. The sound became deafening. Talk, 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 talk. Thousands, hundreds. Phones began ringing inside every office room simultaneously. Somewhere nearby, the corridor trembled harder. That's the problem. I'm starting to remember all of them. Ethan's breathing crackled softly through the phone line. You are not authorized to remember previous realities. The employee looked around nervously. Darkness leaked from every room. Doors along the hallway slowly creaked open by themselves. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead. I don't think I ever left. The kind people make when fear has lived inside them too long. Not a happy laugh. Ethan laughed weakly. How are you contacting this sector? The employee tilted his head unnaturally. Silence. I know you're there. On the other end of the phone, Ethan sounded exhausted. Impossible. The faceless employee whispered. Reality trembled softly around the corridor. But alive. Broken. Older now. Ethan Cole, because he recognized the voice. The employee froze. Hello? Tired. Human. Afraid. Then came a voice. Static filled the hallway instantly. Slowly, the faceless employee answered. Talk, talk, talk. The phone continued ringing, where his features should have been. There was only smooth, pale skin. No face. No department. No name. Employee 204. He wore a black office uniform with no company logo. His ID badge simply read. The new employee stood alone beside the ringing desk phone, waiting, watching. Something massive moved inside the ceiling, somewhere overhead. The sound echoed through fluorescent hallways lined with identical gray doors. The air smelled of dust-wet carpet and old electricity. Talk, talk, talk. Far beyond prisons, far beyond worlds, far beyond human understanding. Deep inside the endless office corridor, the phone kept ringing. You should have told the truth. And the voice on the other end whispered. A new employee answered. Talk, talk, talk. A phone began ringing inside a dark office corridor, beyond human understanding, and somewhere very far away. Ethan slowly sat back down on the edge of his bed while rain continued falling outside. Delayed, not stopped. Convergence delayed, as if traced by invisible fingers, written faintly across the metal surface. But one detail remained. Human. His reflection looked ordinary now. Ethan stared at the mirror cautiously. Only exhausted prisoners sleeping behind steel bars. No copies, no whispers, no impossible hallway. Normal again. Then the prison lights returned. Long silence. Silence followed. A lie doesn't die when you confess it. It dies when you stop needing it. But the voice beside the mirror whispered one final sentence. No more. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. Wet breathing echoed nearby. The footsteps moved closer. You only closed one door. There are others. There are always others. Soft, hungry, endless. The whispers returned. Ethan backed against the wall, shaking violently. Complete darkness. Then darkness swallowed the corridor. All smiling. All staring silently through the bars. Every prisoner inside nearby cells had Ethan's face. And for one impossible moment, the lights flickered again. Too many footsteps moving together, not guards. Slow, heavy, unnatural. Footsteps echoed somewhere beyond the prison corridor. No. Ice flooded through his veins. Ethan collapsed against the sink. Please remain inside your assigned existence. Reality stability review in progress. Employee Ethan Cole. Then a calm female voice spoke. Static filled the cell block. The prison intercom suddenly crackled overhead. Did you? The reflection's smile deepened sadly. No, I destroyed it. Ethan's heartbeat thundered inside his chest. Then the mirror returned to normal. Still alive somewhere. Still there. The Department of False Realities. Ethan saw office cubicles stretching infinitely behind his reflection. For a brief, horrifying second, the cell lights flickered once. You told the truth, the reflection whispered. But truth doesn't erase creation. Exactly like the night everything began. Then heavier, soft at first, rain began falling outside the prison windows. The reflection tilted its head. No, Ethan staggered backward violently. You still think this is the real world? Then it spoke quietly. Just sad. Not wide. Not monstrous. The reflection smiled slightly. Ethan stopped breathing. It blinked half a second too late, until his reflection stared back normally. Moonlight reflected softly across its surface. He approached the metal mirror above the sink. The old fear returned immediately. Cold, ancient, waiting beneath his skin. Ethan stood from his bed carefully. Long silence, then silence. Tock, tock, tock. Another knock echoed softly. No. His breathing became uneven. Only darkness. Nothing there. He looked toward the cell door. Slowly. The beginning of everything. The exact same sound from years ago. Ethan's blood froze instantly. Talk, talk, talk. A soft knock. Then he heard it. Familiar. Not dangerous, because something felt wrong. For a moment he didn't move. His cell was dark except for pale moonlight leaking through the bars. One night, Ethan woke suddenly at exactly 12:01 a.m. That still hurt enough, and somehow, reality in its purest form. Just memories stripped naked. No monsters anymore. The little boy laughing beneath sunlight. Lena drinking coffee beside rainy windows. His younger brother crying alone after being punished for a lie Ethan told decades ago. Now he dreamed of simpler things. At first, he dreamed of screaming corridors and collapsing realities. But they changed. The nightmares never fully disappeared. That was what he deserved. And maybe Ethan stopped counting the days after the third winter inside prison. Time no longer felt important there. The world beyond the concrete walls kept moving without him, while his own life became smaller and quieter. Honestly, painfully, slowly, years passed. That was enough. And for the first time, tired, human, broken, just him. No delay, no smile. His reflection stared back normally. That night, Ethan stood alone inside his prison cell, staring into the small metal mirror above the sink. It simply stops the nightmare from spreading to everyone else. The truth doesn't save you. Ethan finally understood something terrifying about honesty. And for the first time in his entire life, only truth, only consequences. No dimensional fractures, no monsters, no false realities. The world outside continuing forward without him. Rain sliding across the prison windows. Ethan sat alone for a long time after that. Then she left. It's remembering everything clearly. Lena's expression broke quietly beneath the pale fluorescent lights. He looked up. The real punishment isn't prison, Ethan. Then softly said. Before leaving, she paused beside the door, visiting hours ending. Lena stood slowly. Ethan's throat tightened painfully. But sometimes, I remember the man who finally told the truth. Lena leaned forward slightly, and now he finally understood the difference. But lies destroyed, because honesty hurt. Ethan nodded. Sometimes. But she answered honestly. Lena's eyes watered instantly. Do you hate me? Then Ethan asked the question haunting him for months. Silence filled the room again. The person you kept trying to become. She met his eyes carefully. Of what? They're probably echoes. Lena looked toward the rain outside. At night, in reflections, in dreams. He nodded again. The other versions. Lena understood immediately. I still see them sometimes. Ethan nodded slowly. Those words cut deeper than anger ever could. No, you ruined yourself. There's a difference. Then quietly answered. Lena stared at him for a long time. I ruined your life. Ethan looked down at his hands. Rain tapped softly against the prison windows behind her. I know. Lena gave a small, sad smile. You shouldn't be here. Finally, Ethan whispered. Only silence separated them across the prison table. Neither of them spoke at first, and that alone felt miraculous. Still alive, but alive. Thinner, quieter, older somehow. She looked different now. He froze when she entered the room. Lena. One winter morning, Ethan received a visitor, and none of it could be escaped anymore. Pain remained. Regret remained. Truth remained. Reality had become brutally simple. The sound of Lena laughing. The little boy holding the red balloon. His mother calling him from work. The life he destroyed one lie at a time. About ordinary things, not about the creatures. At night, Ethan dreamed constantly, because now there was nowhere left to run, and memories were worse. Only memories. No monsters waited there. Concrete walls, cold steel, endless nights. He entered prison weeks later. But Ethan was finally too tired to keep building worlds. Another lie. Excuses. Because people expected denial. Others stared in shock. Some reporters lowered their cameras. The courtroom became painfully silent. The whispers vanished instantly. Guilty. Ethan swallowed hard. Human grief. Just grief. No missing eyes. No shadows leaking from their faces. But real. Older now. Broken now. The boy's parents sat there silently. Then he looked toward the back of the courtroom. His chest tightened. You can still lie. You can still survive. Faint whispers at the edge of memory. The creatures. He heard them again. For a brief moment, Ethan stared at the wooden floor. How do you plead? The judge asked quietly. And that was the point. No alternate world existed anymore where he escaped responsibility. Real. Every charge felt heavy. Vehicular manslaughter, driving under the influence, obstruction of investigation. Ethan sat alone beside his attorney while reporters whispered across the room. Camera flashes burst outside the windows like distant lightning. The courtroom smelled like old paper and exhaustion. Now everything had consequences, because reality no longer bent to protect him, and somehow that frightened him more. Real rain, just ordinary rain, not the impossible rain from broken realities. Ethan still heard it every night. 3 months later, the rain never stopped. It finally ceased to exist, because the moment Ethan accepted the truth, only sadness. Its final smile carried neither hatred nor rage. The last surviving creature watched Ethan silently before dissolving into darkness, deep beyond the collapsing remains of false realities. And far away, something honest, but something real. Not yet, not forgiveness. Lena slowly reached for his trembling hand. Just reality, just consequences, just rain. No whispers, no shadows, no smiling copies. The world around them no longer twisted unnaturally. Yeah, Ethan cried harder. You told the truth, Lena whispered shakily. Police sirens echoed faintly in the distance. That felt cleaner than all the lies combined. And somehow, human pain, real pain, only pain. No alternate realities, no monsters now. Her eyes locked onto his. Alive too. Lena sat beside him, breathing hard. Ethan began sobbing uncontrollably. The boy was alive, was empty, but the crosswalk. Rain poured outside. Smoke drifted from the engine. The car had crashed into a street pole. Blood ran down his forehead. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Warm silence, then silence. Darkness. Everything flipped upside down. Glass exploded. Metal screamed. The car spun across wet pavement. He grabbed the steering wheel hard and swerved violently away from the crosswalk. Instantly. And Ethan moved. The little boy turned toward the headlights. Lena screamed. Rain flooded inside. The car windows burst outward violently. Every lie lost its structure. The Department of False Realities collapsed into nothing. The endless office corridors shattered, all collapsing into dust. Confident Ethan. Cruel Ethan. Successful Ethan. The smiling monsters. All the false Ethans disintegrated one by one. The creatures howled as their bodies began falling apart. White light tore through every direction. The universe exploded. I hit that child, and it was my fault. He was no longer trying to escape himself, because for the first time in his life. But Ethan continued. No, stop. The creatures shrieked in agony. Buildings folding inward. Skies burning black. Versions of himself screaming as they dissolved into darkness. Beyond the cracks, Ethan saw the false worlds collapsing. Reality split open outside the car. The world trembled. I'm drunk, I'm angry, and I almost killed us already. He forced the words out. Lena stared at him in shock. Yes, I was drinking. Ethan kept speaking through tears. Dark cracks spread across the windows. The car shook violently. A horrible sound beyond human language. The creature screamed instantly. Yes, Ethan finally broke. Still savable, still alive. The boy outside laughed softly while running through rainwater, his vision blurred with tears. Say no. Protect yourself. You can fix this later. One more lie. Ethan could hear their whispers bleeding through existence itself, because lies were the only thing keeping them alive. Begging, waiting. The creatures leaned closer. Behind reality, something massive stirred. Nothing came out. His mouth opened. The hardest thing Ethan had ever faced. And somehow, the simplest truth in existence. The question, there it was. Were you drinking? Lena stared at Ethan with trembling eyes. The rain almost hung motionless in the air. Time slowed further. 2. 1 step. The little boy continued crossing the street, and everyone inside them would keep suffering endlessly. The worlds would multiply. The creatures would survive. The cycle would continue forever. If he lied again, because he knew what came next, his chest tightened painfully. An infinite machine powered by denial. Another world. Another monster. Another version of himself. Every time he refused the truth, another reality was born. Again and again and again, this moment had repeated before. And suddenly Ethan understood something horrifying. Alive, breathing, heartbroken. The real Lena, not the ghost, not the memory, not the version created by guilt. Really looked at her. Ethan looked at her. Please, she whispered. Just tell me the truth for once. Lena wiped tears from her face. Hungry, watching. He could feel them pressing against the edges of the world. The creatures waited, somewhere beyond reality. Behind him, Ethan's hands trembled violently, still untouched by fate, still alive. Red balloon swaying gently in the rain. Outside, the little boy stepped closer to the crosswalk. Ethan sat frozen behind the wheel while Lena cried softly beside him. The smell of alcohol still clung to the air inside the car like poison. The moment that created everything. 11:37 p.m. Tiny rivers distorting the city lights beyond the glass. Rain slid slowly down the windshield. The creatures waited to see what he would choose. And somewhere behind reality itself, he was. The world was never cursed by lies. He understood. Because now, Ethan began crying silently. One unbearable confession. One simple truth. But every version of himself created to avoid this exact moment. Not monsters, not demons. Ethan realized what the creatures truly were. Time slowing, rain falling softly around him. The boy outside began crossing the street. His throat tightened. Ethan, please just tell me the truth. Lena looked at him with exhausted eyes. Raw and unbearable. Just truth. No monsters, no copies, no alternate realities. The real world. The origin. This was it. Ethan stopped breathing. A little boy stood near the crosswalk, holding a red balloon. Outside the windshield, crying quietly. Alive. Lena sat beside him. The night everything happened. 2 years ago. 11:37 p.m. The clock read. His hands trembled on the steering wheel. Rain tapped gently against the windshield. He was sitting inside his car. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Only soft rain. No whispers, no shadows, no screaming realities. For the first time in years, warm silence. Silence. And Ethan fell forward into. The creatures screamed in agony behind him. White light exploded outward. It opened instantly. Ethan slammed into the black door. Cold, wet, humid. Their fingers brushed the back of his jacket. The creatures almost reached him. Closer, closer. The black door waited ahead. He saw cities underwater. Burning skies. Dead versions of himself hanging from ceilings. Entire universes built from single lies. Doors appeared and vanished. Worlds flickered beside him. Reality fractured with every step. The creatures shrieked violently as they chased him, walls folding inward like dying flesh. The hallway collapsed behind him. Ethan ran. "Go!" Lena screamed, all running toward him. One had no eyes. One smiled without skin. One dragged shattered legs behind it. One wore Lena's face melted into Ethan's own. They were all incomplete versions of himself stitched together horribly. Ethan finally saw them clearly. Dozens of distorted Ethan faces emerging from darkness, screaming. The creatures suddenly rushed forward. The truth. Lena's expression broke completely. "What's behind it?" Ethan whispered. "Just darkness around its edges. No handle, no markings. Simple black door." A door appeared at the end of the corridor. "You still have one choice." Lena grabbed Ethan's hand desperately. Default replacement imminent. Selection window closing. The office intercom spoke again. Hungry, impatient. The creatures screamed together now. The corridor trembled harder. The real Ethan died a long time ago. Lena's eyes filled with tears. "No!" Ethan stepped backward slowly. All those false realities were built from parts of you. If they collapse, so do the versions holding you together. What? The words shattered him. You disappear too. Then finally answered. Lena looked away. Silence. What happens if I stop? Ethan's breathing became uneven. The lies only survive if you keep feeding them. Lena whispered urgently. Too many arms, too many faces, too many Ethans merging together. Shapes twisted beneath the shadows. The creatures moved closer, angry now. The darkness behind them growled. Because deep down, you still know the truth. Ethan shook his head slowly. Do you know why they can't fully replace you yet? Lena looked at him carefully. A smiling thing wearing human skin. He saw himself become one of the creatures. In another, he saw her dying repeatedly in endless loops. In one world, Ethan saw himself married to her. Behind Lena, cracks in space revealed glimpses of other worlds colliding together. Reality continued tearing apart. The corridor around them pulsed violently. That hurt more than hatred ever could. I know. Lena smiled sadly. I'm sorry. Tears filled Ethan's eyes instantly. So painfully real, but real. Lena looked pale and exhausted, just enough to see her silhouette in the darkness. Not fully. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. You need to remember something important. Her voice sounded more human now, fragile, terrified. Listen to me. Lena suddenly grabbed his face hard, as if existence itself had become a menu. Preferred reality. The words hit Ethan like ice water. Please choose your preferred reality. Identity selection required. Final merge in progress. Then the office intercom crackled again. A low rumbling laugh echoed through the corridor. The darkness shifted excitedly. The creatures sensed it instantly. God help him. Part of him still wanted escape, because part of him wanted it. Ethan's chest tightened painfully. You could stay with Lena. You could undo the accident. You could become someone better. You could escape guilt forever. All born from lies. All alive somewhere. Confident Ethan. Successful Ethan. Cruel Ethan. Happy Ethan. Different versions of himself began speaking from the darkness. But the voices had already entered his mind. Don't listen to them, she whispered. Lena's hand trembled on his shoulder, waiting for permission, learning him. He could feel them studying him. Darkness pressed against him from every direction, while the creatures circled nearby. Their breathing sounded wrong, too wet, too layered, like hundreds of lungs inhaling together. Ethan kept his eyes shut. Which Ethan do you want to become? All the voices spoke together beside his ears, and suddenly he could hear the smile. Then something enormous smiled in the dark. I love you. It wasn't me. I'm innocent. I can change. Voices whispering his own lies back at him. Bones cracking. He could hear skin dragging across carpet. The creatures behind him moved closer. Ethan shut his eyes tightly. If you look at them, they can become you, Lena whispered urgently. Wet breathing filled the darkness. Too many bodies moving together. Too many limbs. Something larger. Not human footsteps anymore. Heavy footsteps echoed behind him. They found you. The voice trembled slightly. Ethan stopped breathing. Lena, don't turn around. A woman's voice whispered beside him. Human. Cold. A hand touched Ethan's shoulder. Then, pure darkness consumed everything. And every light died instantly. Black liquid exploded across the hallway walls. The flesh balloon suddenly burst. So your lies built doors. Its crushed face twitched unnaturally. You wanted escape, now only a few feet away. The child walked closer, reality tearing apart like wet paper, all collapsing into each other. One world where Ethan became famous. One where Lena survived. One where the child lived. One where Ethan became a monster. One where humanity no longer existed. Worlds born from lies. Other worlds became visible. Behind the cracks, walls splitting open, the hallway shook harder. I didn't mean to, Ethan screamed. Please prepare for replacement. All false realities merging. Final convergence initiated. A distorted announcement echoed through the corridor. Then the office intercom activated overhead. Sirens screamed somewhere beyond reality itself. The floor trembled violently. Every figure in the hallway suddenly took one synchronized step forward. He made new realities because he feared the real one. The child pointed at Ethan slowly, only empty black sockets leaking darkness. None of them had eyes anymore. Ethan noticed something horrifying. All pale, all soaked by invisible rain, all staring silently. Lena, hospital workers, police officers, the boy's parents. People began appearing, and within that darkness spread rapidly down the corridor again. The lights overhead burst one after another. That word doesn't fix worlds. The child tilted his shattered head. I'm sorry. Tears streamed down Ethan's face like a living organ, pulsing softly. It was made of flesh, was no longer red, except the balloon, still holding the balloon. The boy was closer now. Ethan looked up slowly. You killed us both, the broken child whispered, walls pulsing like veins. The hallway around him warped and twisted. Ethan's breathing became violent. She killed herself, and eventually, the guilt destroyed her. Weeks later, she covered for him. And when police arrived, he begged her to stay quiet. He told Lena someone else had hit the child and fled. Again, lied. And Ethan, crying hysterically, calling an ambulance. Lena screaming. Ethan remembered stumbling out of the car, shaking. The boy died instantly. The sound of bones against metal echoed inside his skull. Hard. Ethan hit him. A little boy crossed the street. And then, angry, drunk, blind with rage, Ethan chased after her. She ran from the car crying, after telling her he never loved her. After the fight, he had been driving drunk. The night Lena died, 2 years ago. He remembered everything. The memory became clearer now. No. Ethan collapsed to his knees. Oh God. Silence. A body thrown across wet asphalt. A child. Impact. Then, headlights cutting through darkness. Alcohol on his breath. A screaming argument. Rain pouring against windshield glass. Memory exploded inside him. Ethan staggered backward, like shattered porcelain. One side crushed inward violently. The face was destroyed, but the face, same small body, same curly dark hair. The child slowly turned around. No, Ethan felt cold spread through his bones. You finally came back. The boy spoke softly, completely still. His back facing Ethan stood a little boy holding a red balloon. At the far end of the hallway, Ethan slowly looked up. Familiar, distant, soft. A child laughing somewhere down the corridor. Then came the sound. Something about that missing page terrified him more than everything else. Ethan's stomach twisted. The page beneath it was missing. Origin event. One final category. Below that, reality fractures. Critical unauthorized creations. 17 convergence status active. Employee report. Ethan Cole. Pages filled with files slid loose into his hands. Ethan grabbed it instinctively. Only her clipboard lying on the floor. No blood, no body, was gone. And the woman. Walls torn open. Ceiling panels hanging loose. Blood smeared across the carpet. The hallway looked destroyed now. A single dying red light above the security door. Only one. The emergency light suddenly flickered back on. You buried this one deeper. Then a voice whispered beside his ear. Ethan's entire body locked in terror. Waiting. Patient. Slow. Warm breath touching his face. He could feel it. Yet something stood inches from him. Couldn't see the copies. Couldn't see the woman. Couldn't even see his own hands. Ethan couldn't see the hallway anymore. The darkness was breathing, but this time, darkness again. Then every light in the corridor died. He remembers now, and all of them spoke together. The copy smiled wider. Only darkness. There was nothing inside, beneath her human skin. And Ethan saw something impossible. She screamed. Its fingers sank into her face like wet clay. A copy suddenly grabbed her from behind. There's one final truth you still buried. Then whispered. The woman turned toward Ethan with panic in her eyes. Closer, closer, closer. Darkness chased them rapidly down the corridor. The hallway lights burst one after another. Like reality itself couldn't fully hold them together. Bodies twitching violently. Their limbs bent wrong, not running normally. The copies behind them began sprinting. No. Her expression froze. Access denied. She slammed her keycard against the scanner. Hurry. The woman shoved Ethan toward a metal security door ahead. All smiling. All walking toward him. Confident Ethan. Violent Ethan. Successful Ethan. Heartless Ethan. Broken Ethan. All versions of Ethan created by different lies. Dozens. More copies emerged. Then another glass wall exploded. I can live your life better than you. Its mouth opened too wide, like a puppet learning to walk. Its movements jerked unnaturally. One of the Ethan copies stepped into the hallway. The first glass wall shattered. They replace you, then quietly said. The woman didn't answer immediately. What happens if they enter? Ethan's heartbeat pounded inside his skull. Tiny fractures spreading outward rapidly. The glass walls started cracking. Do not acknowledge them. If they believe you recognize them, they can enter. The woman began walking faster now, but all smiling. Different ages, different expressions, different versions, and every face belonged to Ethan. Their faces slowly appeared against the glass, one by one, watching, standing motionless, tall human shapes. Then Ethan noticed movement behind the frosted office glass. Silence. Every chair abandoned, every cubicle empty. The faceless employees were gone, and when they returned, the emergency lights turned black for half a second. The replacements. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Who? You cannot let them touch you. Painfully tight, cold fingers. The woman grabbed Ethan's wrist suddenly, coming from every hallway simultaneously. Endless, heavy footsteps. Then Ethan heard it. faceless employees began convulsing violently inside their cubicles. Computer screens exploded across the office. The floor beneath them trembled. Too late. Real fear. Fear. The woman's expression changed instantly. Sirens began screaming, somewhere far away. The office lights flickered violently. None of them. It was the saddest smile Ethan had ever seen, and smiled for the first time. Slowly turned toward him. The woman stopped walking. Which one is real? Ethan whispered. Thousands of lies becoming existence. Thousands of possible lives. Another showed him dead inside a crashed car. Another showed him older, surrounded by children. On another, he saw himself homeless beneath freezing rain. On one monitor, Ethan saw himself wealthy and smiling beside Lena. Every screen displayed different realities. They passed a giant wall covered in monitors. You generated unusually severe fractures. Most humans create minor distortions. You created worlds. The woman continued calmly. Ethan felt his stomach collapse inward, watching him. The entire office froze, then all of them together, then another. Its head turned slowly toward Ethan. One faceless employee suddenly stopped typing. Unfinished identities, the woman replied. People consumed by accumulated contradictions. What are they? Ethan slowed in horror. Only smooth, blank skin. None of them had faces, all completely silent. Answering phones, stamping papers, typing. Employees sat inside them. Rows of office cubicles appeared behind cracked glass walls. The corridor stretched endlessly ahead. He followed the woman, almost like laughter. A deep sound emerged, but behind him something massive shifted inside the darkness of room 208. Every instinct begged him to. Ethan should have run. Follow me. Convergence has already begun. She turned and began walking down the hallway. You will. I don't understand. Ethan's breathing grew uneven. Reality is created through perception. Perception is shaped through language. Language becomes architecture. The woman tilted her head slightly. This isn't possible. Ethan stared at her. The words echoed unnaturally through the corridor. Employee Guide, Unit 4. She answered calmly. Welcome to the Department of False Realities. Like human eyes, copied by something that didn't fully understand humanity. Too empty. Her eyes were wrong. The woman looked up slowly. Who are you? Ethan's voice trembled, like she had been waiting for him for years. Completely still. She held a clipboard against her chest. Black office uniform, pale skin, long dark hair tied neatly behind her head. A woman. Someone stood waiting, and at the far end of the corridor, doors hung crooked on broken hinges. Water stains spread like veins across the ceiling. The gray office walls now looked rotten. The hallway had changed, but the hallway. The room behind him vanished into blackness again. Deep red illumination flooded the corridor outside. Emergency lights activated. Then, Ethan stumbled backward toward the hallway, nearly slipping on the carpet. All his own, all familiar. Thousands of voices. Killer, coward, liar. The whispering continued around him. It felt occupied. The darkness inside room 208 no longer felt empty. Ethan could hear it moving above the ceiling tiles like a living storm crawling through narrow spaces. Every movement produced a horrible cracking sound as if bones were folding the wrong way. Wet, ancient, huge. Something breathed in the dark. Something enormous began moving, and somewhere nearby, darkness swallowed the room instantly. The lights exploded. Liar, all speaking at once. Thousands, hundreds of voices. Then came the whispering, like thousands of bodies crawling inside the ceiling. The tiles above him bulged downward unnaturally. Ethan looked upward. The office ceiling suddenly groaned loudly. Every lie made a place. "And now you belong to all of them," the child whispered, all staring at him with hollow eyes. An old friend, a crying co-worker, Lena, his brother, his mother, all connected to lies he had told. Different faces, different ages, watching him. Silent figures. People stood in every corner. The room wasn't empty. And suddenly Ethan realized more office lights flickered on around the room. "You said nothing." "No." Ethan stepped backward. "You watched him cry." A bruise darkened one side of his face. The child stood slowly. Badly. His brother got beaten for it. Ethan blamed his younger brother instead. His father asking who broke the bedroom window. Age 8. The memory hit instantly. Ethan's stomach dropped. "Why did you lie to Dad?" The boy looked up with tear-filled eyes. A younger version. Himself, because he recognized him instantly. Ethan's breath stopped. Small hands trembling. Curly dark hair. Maybe 8 years old. Inside sat a little boy alone beneath dim office lights, then pushed it wider. Ethan hesitated. The door was slightly open, coming from room 208. Soft crying. Then he heard crying, as though the hallway extended far beyond what his eyes could see. His footsteps echoed unnaturally long. Ethan walked slowly. Tick, tick, tick. But its hands moved backward. A giant clock hung from the ceiling. At the end of the hallway, room 204, room 205, room 206. Only numbers. No exits. No windows. Every door looked identical. Rows of office lights buzzed overhead, like hospitals and dead computers. Artificial. The air smelled sterile. Ethan stood trembling inside the endless corridor. Absolute silence. Silence. The flesh-like wall sealed shut behind him instantly and ran into the darkness. He made his choice. Then back at the approaching copies. Ethan looked behind him at the impossible hallway, their smiles widening unnaturally, one after another. Slowly, the shadows in the apartment began stepping closer. Correction sector located. Proceed immediately. The female voice returned. Ethan stared speechless. A workplace hidden inside impossible space. Office doors. Corporate carpets. Cold fluorescent lights flickered above endless gray walls. A hallway. And within it, infinite darkness. Darkness waited inside, then split open vertically like skin being peeled apart. Twice. The wall pulsed once. Ethan stumbled backward in horror, like soft flesh breathing beneath wallpaper. Moved. Not opened. Not cracked. The bedroom wall behind him moved. Suddenly, because every instinct inside him screamed run. But his body did. Ethan didn't understand the word. Convergence. Every shadow in the hallway smiled wider. The apartment lights dimmed blood red. The boundaries separating narrative realities are collapsing. If immediate correction is not performed, convergence will begin. The voice continued, growing somewhere beyond his understanding. Breathing, every lie suddenly felt alive. "I'm fine. I love you. It wasn't my fault. I never saw him. She meant nothing. I can stop any time." Lies. Hundreds of them. Images flashed violently inside his head. "No?" The word hit him like a hammer. 17. You have created 17 unauthorized realities through repeated false statements. The voice ignored him. "Who are you?" Ethan whispered, like someone trapped underwater. Very faintly, something human was screaming, but beneath it, emotionless. The voice sounded mechanical. "Please report to your assigned correction sector immediately." What? Ethan's blood froze. Employee Ethan Cole. Your reality breach has exceeded acceptable levels." Then a calm female voice spoke. Static filled the room. The call answered itself. Ethan stared at the screen with pure terror. Unknown number. Then his phone buzzed again, like reality itself was bending inward around him. Thicker. The air colder. The bedroom suddenly felt smaller. Ethan backed away slowly, almost gentle, soft. Worse, not loud. The voices echoed in perfect synchronization. "You said that before," like puppets connected by the same invisible string. Then all of them together. Then another. One of the shadows tilted its head. "This isn't real." Ethan tightened his grip around the kitchen knife until his knuckles turned white, and smiled. They only stared. None of them breathed. None of them blinked. Ethan stood frozen inside the bedroom while dozens of versions of himself filled the hallway beyond the door. Their silhouettes stretched unnaturally across the walls, twisting beneath the flickering apartment lights like living stains. Because they were waiting, not because they disappeared. The shadows stopped moving. At his face. And every single one? Dozens of them. Human shadows. Tall shadows. Shadows moved across the hallway walls. Ethan turned toward the bedroom doorway slowly. Many, not one person. Approaching. Heavy. Slow. Then footsteps echoed from the living room. His blood froze solid. "Lena, why did you leave me there, Ethan?" A woman's voice whispered softly. And from somewhere inside it, infinite darkness. Deep darkness. Only darkness remained beyond the broken mirror. The reflections were gone. When he looked up again, Ethan screamed and covered his face. Glass rained across the floor. The bedroom lights exploded. You don't remember all the lies yet. Then every reflection spoke together. The room temperature dropped instantly. All waiting, all staring, all of them him. Different smiles, different faces, different versions. Ethan saw someone standing behind him, and inside every broken reflection, spiderweb fractures spread across the glass violently, then hundreds, then dozens, a single line at first. The mirror suddenly cracked. No, his vision blurring, his chest tightening. Ethan collapsed onto the edge of the bed. She was dead. 30 minutes later, the last thing he ever said to her, "I never loved you," lied again. And Ethan, tell me the truth for once. Rain, screaming, headlights, Lena crying beside his car. That night replayed inside his head like shattered film. But that wasn't the truth, because Ethan told them it was. Everyone believed it was an accident. The woman who died 2 years ago, his ex-girlfriend, Lena, a girl laughing beneath subway lights, a hospital hallway, blood on winter pavement, a phone call he never answered. Memories slammed into him violently. No, Ethan stopped breathing. You lied about her too. Words dripping in black liquid, written across the mirror beside the closet. Then he noticed it. Ethan lowered the knife slightly. Dark corners, old jackets, empty clothes. Nothing, revealing. Then his closet light clicked on by itself. Silence. The breathing stopped instantly. Come out. Ethan raised the knife. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Wet breaths. Slowly. Someone was breathing, and inside the closet was open, but the closet door, the room was empty. Ethan pushed the door wider with shaking hands. Darkness waited inside. The bedroom door was half open, like something else lived here now. It felt borrowed. The apartment no longer felt like home. Every step felt wrong. He grabbed a kitchen knife and walked slowly toward the bedroom. His body moved before his brain could stop it. No, real, wet, fresh. Ethan stared at them, leading from the front door to his bedroom. Mud footprints covered the floor, except for one thing, almost normal. His apartment looked normal again, Ethan gasped and spun around wildly. Nothing there. The hallway was empty. The light suddenly flashed back on. "You made me." The copy tilted its head slowly. "What are you?" Ethan backed away instantly. Its voice sounded wet, broken, like multiple voices speaking beneath one another. "You lied," the thing whispered. Too wide for human skin. That smile looked carved into its face, except for the smile. Same tired eyes, same unshaven jaw, same gray hoodie. Exactly him. It was him, and Ethan nearly screamed. The weak light from Ethan's phone finally reached its face. Another, one step. Then the figure stepped forward. No response. "Who's there?" Ethan's throat tightened. Watching him, motionless, tall, something stood there, but not empty. Pitch black. Slowly, he turned toward the hallway. Ethan's pulse exploded. From inside the apartment, not from the front door. Tock, tock, tock. Closer this time. Then came the knock again, as if the darkness swallowed sound before it could fully exist. His voice sounded smaller than usual. "What the hell is happening?" Work mode active. Only one new thing appeared on the screen. No notifications, no Wi-Fi, no signal. 12:01 a.m. His phone screen lit up in his trembling hand, a soft buzzing sound. Then, Ethan stood frozen near the kitchen table, staring into blackness so thick it felt alive. Even the city itself seemed gone. No traffic outside. No humming refrigerator. No rain. The apartment was completely silent after the lights died. The kind that pressed against his chest and made breathing feel unnatural. Real weight. Not emotionally. Not metaphorically. Ethan understood that now. Darkness has weight, as if it had been waiting years to finally enter his life. Very quietly, something laughed, and somewhere inside that darkness swallowed everything. The lights in the apartment shut off instantly. "Ethan, you're late for work." His own voice again, then a voice from outside. Tock, tock, tock. Another knock. He stared at the door without moving. Tock, tock, tock. 3 slow knocks. Then his apartment door knocked softly. Ethan's blood ran cold. The video ended. Too hungry. Too empty. Too wide. But Ethan had never smiled like that before. And smiled. Slowly turned toward the camera. The figure suddenly stopped walking. Or something identical to him. It was him, using Ethan's badge. Wearing Ethan's clothes. The camera watched a tired man walking through the corridor carrying coffee. Tonight, timestamp 11:43 p.m. A corporate office hallway. The screen showed security camera footage, then clicked it. Ethan hesitated. Attached below was a video file. Every lie creates a world. Yours have finally started opening. Message. Sender unknown. Opened the email. He slowly returned to the kitchen. New message received. His laptop dinged again from the other room, which somehow made it worse. Exactly normal. The reflection was normal now. He looked back again. His breathing became sharp and uneven. No. Ethan stumbled away from the mirror. Absolute silence. Silence. His reflection smiled before he did. For one horrifying second. Then, the bathroom light flickered violently. Ethan stepped backward so quickly he nearly slipped. The call ended instantly. "You should have told the truth." His own voice, then a voice, static. "Hello," he answered carefully. Unknown number. Then his phone rang again. His heartbeat rose, like the reflection moved half a second too late. But something felt delayed. His tired reflection stared back at him. Ethan slowly stood up and walked toward the bathroom mirror. Too aware, too deep. The silence in the apartment felt wrong now. "This isn't funny." Then whispered. He stared at it for a long moment. The card that should have been deactivated months ago. He grabbed his old employee badge from the drawer beside him. His fingers trembled against the keyboard. No, as if he had actually been working this entire time, as if he had never been fired. All dated from this week. Work schedules, team reports, meeting requests. Hundreds of unread messages flooded the screen. He opened his email. What? A cold feeling crawled up his spine. Employee access restored. Another notification appeared. He never created that reminder. His breathing slowed. Ethan froze. Calendar notification, night shift begins 12 a.m. Then his laptop screen turned on by itself. He sighed and leaned back in his chair. Mom, don't work too hard, honey. His phone buzzed again. Outside, thunder rolled across the skyline. Ethan frowned, then came back. The lights dimmed for half a second. The apartment suddenly flickered, like something inside him had already begun disappearing. The company fired him quietly after the panic attack started. They said it was about performance decline, but everyone knew the truth. Ethan had become unstable, distracted, hollow. He hadn't had a job in 3 months because he wasn't at work. Ethan closed his eyes. The message delivered instantly. Sorry, Mom, I'm still at work. Then he typed the same lie he always used. He stared at the screen for 3 seconds before declining it. Mom calling. His phone buzzed softly. One lamp, 1 cup of cold coffee. One sleepless night among thousands before it. Ethan Cole sat alone at his kitchen table. Rain slid slowly down the apartment windows like tears that had forgotten who they belonged to. The city outside breathed in neon colors and distant sirens. Midnight traffic reflected across wet streets like broken memories stitched together by light. And maybe that was the real beginning of the nightmare, so small that nobody remembered it except him. The first lie was small. They come back looking for the person who created them, and eventually they grow, because some lies don't die, and accidentally created a nightmare so massive it began consuming reality itself. Tonight's story is about a man who told one small lie to avoid the truth. What if somewhere beyond reality, each lie became its own world? A world where your excuses lived, where your regrets kept breathing, where the version of you that should never exist was waiting. What if every lie you ever told didn't disappear,